Everyone likes options, right? Like, it's nice to have a pile to look at and pick from. So that's what this list is. Just a bunch of options for me to choose from. Okay, so I know I'm typically a bit of a mood reader, but I do like a little bit of structure. So today we're going to be talking about all the books that I want to read this summer. I don't think I'm going to be able to read all of these books because I am such a mood reader. I'm probably going to want to switch it up, change this list. But these are some of the books that have been speaking to me lately. I've been looking at my shelves and these are the ones that I keep kind of gravitating towards. I was trying to keep this list a little bit short. I was thinking it'd be fun to do maybe like 12-ish books or so, but of course that didn't happen because I was looking through all my shelves and I was like, no, but I want to add this one too. So there's a few books on this list, and by few, there's 16, I think. Oh wait, no, I think I added 2 more at the last second, so maybe there's 18. But either way, I thought it'd be fun to just kind of talk through some books that I'm thinking about reading, and we'll see at the end of summer if I actually end up reading it, because I did create a little challenge in Storygraph for myself. I just set a little summer TBR challenge, and we'll see how many of those books I actually read. Some of these books you might have seen recently if you've watched my haul video. I talked about them, I recently purchased them, so that might also be a reason why they're a little bit more on the top of my mind on wanting to get to them. Some of these books I've been meaning to get to and I just haven't picked it up yet. And some are books that I think will be really good for escaping, because I feel like right now that's kind of the mood that I'm in. So that's also affecting my TBR a little bit, where I feel like I just want to read a book and get lost in it. I'm hoping some of these books will do that for me. Also, hello, hi, if you're new, my name is Kat and we talk about books on my channel. I really appreciate you clicking on my little video and hanging out with me. But without further ado, let's just dive into all the books that I'm hoping to read this summer. And keep that in mind, I am fully a mood reader, so don't be shocked if you see that I swap a bunch of these books out, and in my wrap-ups I talk about completely different books. The ones I wanted to talk about first are actually ones that I posted on my Bookstagram, so if you don't follow me there, I do want to try and post monthly TBRs there, so you can kind of see what books I'm hoping to read. I already talked about some of these in that post, but in case you didn't see the post or you don't follow me on Instagram, I thought I would just run through these quickly. The first one that I'm hoping to read is Thieves by Lucie Bryon. This is a graphic novel, and I recently, you might have seen it in my haul if you've watched it, but the art of this is just so cute that I'm ready to like dive into it, and I really want to read this book. But also I'm feeling like in the summer I'm just gonna want to go to a park and read something in one sitting, and I feel like a graphic novel is something that I can do that with. So that's a huge reason why this one's on my list. I can already like picture myself on my picnic blanket reading this book in the sun. Like, that's what I'm hoping for, so that's why this one's on that list. Next on the list is Cantoras, and it's by Carolina de Robertis. This is one that I saw Steph talk about on her Instagram. After that I was like, ooh, this sounds like something I really would like to read. Let me read the description of this one. In defiance of the brutal military government that took power in Uruguay in the 1970s, and under which homosexuality is a dangerous transgression, 5 women miraculously find one another, and together an isolated cape that they claim as their own. Over the next 35 years, they travel back and forth from this secret sanctuary, sometimes together, sometimes in pairs, with lovers in tow or alone. Throughout it all, they will be tested repeatedly by their families, lovers, society, and one another, as they fight to live authentic lives. A groundbreaking, genre-defining work, Cantoras is a dazzling portrait of queer love, community, forgotten history, and the strength of the human spirit. I think that this one's going to be a really powerful read. I think it's going to be so interesting just reading about these 5 women and what it's like for them. I'm really excited for this one. I think it's going to be a very beautiful read. Okay, and then next is one that's been on my list forever. I feel like it's taken me so long, and I keep looking at it on my shelf, so I feel like it's time, and that's Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. For this one, I've just heard so many great things about it. So many people seem to love this book, and I mean, it's Baldwin, so I expect the writing to be beautiful. For this one, I feel like it's going to break me. That's what I've been told, and that's what I feel, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so for the synopsis, it's set in the 1950s, Paris of American expatriates, liaisons, and violence. A young man finds himself caught between desire and conventional morality. With a sharp, probing imagination, James Baldwin's now classic narrative delves into the mystery of loving and creates a moving, highly controversial story of death and passion that reveals the unspoken complexities of the human heart. Yeah, I think this one's gonna hurt. Very excited to finally be reading this one. I think this one might be one that I pick up next because I just keep eyeing it. I feel like I need to just read it. All right, and then this one I recently talked about in my haul video, so if you saw that, it'll look familiar, but it's Women Hollering Creek by Sandra Cisneros, and this one, I feel like I'm gonna love it. It's a collection of short stories. The description for Women Hollering Creek is from the author of the widely acclaimed The House on Mango Street comes a story collection of breathtaking range and authority, whose characters give voice to the vibrant and varied life on both sides of the Mexican border. From a young girl revealing secrets only an 11-year-old can know to a witch woman circling above the village on a pre-dawn flight, the women in these stories offer tales of pure discovery filled with moments of infinite and intimate wisdom. Women Hollering Creek confirms Sandra Cisneros' stature as a writer of electrifying talent. I feel like the summertime for me, I'm going to try and do some short stories. There's another one in this pile that I'm going to be talking about. Oh, it's literally the next one. So that's why I want to read it. I just think this will be another one that's going to be great for me to take out on my little picnics when I'm reading outside, read a few short stories, maybe read some in the morning. I feel like I'm going to love this one. Okay, and now I know I talked about that short story collection, but the next one is also a short story collection that I'm hoping to read in the month of June, and it's Milk Blood Heat by dantiel moniz, and I'm very excited for this one. It's been on my shelves for a very long time. I've added it to my TBR before, and I just haven't gotten to it. So I really hope in June I do actually get to this one. I recently finished Bliss Montage, and I really liked reading those short stories and kind of like breaking them out throughout my week. So I'm hoping that I'm just going to be in my short story era. That's what I want for myself, because I feel like the summertime is the perfect time to get into short stories. For the synopsis, let me just read a small portion of this because it is a little bit longer of a synopsis, but it's set among the cities and suburbs of Florida. Each story in Milk Blood Heat delves into the ordinary worlds of young girls, women, and men who find themselves confronted by extraordinary moments of violent personal reckoning. These intimate portraits of people and relationships scour and soothe and blast a light on the nature of family, faith, forgiveness, consumption, and what we may or may not owe one another. So yeah, I'm very excited to dive into this. I feel like the summertime is going to be perfect for this one. All right, so those were all the books that I talked about in my post and that I'm hoping to read in the month of June. There's two other ones, Pew and Bliss Montage. Pew is going to be a reread for me. I'm still like reading it and seeing if I do want to continue reading it. We'll see if I actually stick with it. And Bliss Montage I did recently finish, so I'll talk about that in my wrap up. The next books are the ones that I'm hoping to read throughout July and August. I forgot what month was after July. Like I said, some of these I may get to, some of them I may not get to. So the next one I'm going to talk about, you'll also recognize if you watched my haul. It's In Limbo by Deb J.J. Lee. In Limbo is Deb J.J. Lee's memoir, and I'm just really excited to read more about them. I talked about the art in the haul, and I think it's just like a beautiful one, and I can't wait to sit outside and read this one. All right, I don't even know where to go next. I have so many books in front of me. Oh my god, I also talked about this in my haul, so you're seeing a lot of these books, but that just means I'm actually getting to some of them, hopefully. We'll see. I should feel more proud once I'm talking about them in my monthly wrap-up, but hopefully some of these will be in there. But the next book that I'm hoping to read is Milkman by Anna Burns. Oh, that just flew right out. I am going to be buddy reading this with Kat, and we did start it, but we weren't really vibing with it in the moment, so I'm hoping that once we pick it back up in July, we'll continue reading it. I only got like 10 pages in, so I'll have to go back and reread it, and hopefully I will get to it this summer. But the synopsis of this one is, in an unnamed city, middle sister stands out for the wrong reasons. She reads while walking, for one, but she has been taking French night classes downtown, so when a local paramilitary known as the Milkman begins pursuing her, she suddenly becomes interesting, the last thing she ever wanted to be. Despite middle sister's attempts to avoid him and to keep her mother from finding out about her maybe boyfriend, rumors spread and the threat of violence lingers. Milkman is a story of the way an action can have enormous repercussions in a time when the wrong flag, wrong religion, or even a sunset can be subversive, told with ferocious energy and sly, wicked humor. Milkman establishes Anna Burns as one of the most consequential voices of our day. There was someone that I was talking to on Instagram, and they let me know that this one might be a little bit helpful to have a little bit more of the history from Ireland. So there is a book that I have that I'm hoping to read called Nothing to See. I think. I'll include the photo of the book cover here. That's also one that I'm kind of hoping to read this summer, but I'm not including on this list because I have too many books on this list, but that might be one that I also try and read. The next book that I'm hoping to read is The Marrow Thieves by Cherie, dimaline, and this one has been on my shelves for a very long time. It's kind of a smaller book, which is why I picked it up. I think this is supposed to be kind of like a sci-fi, if I'm not mistaken, but I could definitely be mistaken. I don't fully remember. I just remember seeing someone mention it and I added it to my list. I do remember it being about dreams, and looks like it is about dreams. So, in a world nearly destroyed by global warming, the indigenous people of North America are being hunted for their bone marrow, which carries the key to recovering something the rest of the population has lost: the ability to dream. Frenchie and his companions, struggling to survive, don't yet know that one of them holds the secret to defeating the Marrow Thieves. So, yeah, I'm very excited for this one. This is another one that I just keep eyeing on my shelves, so I'm very excited to finally, hopefully, give this one a read. I feel like I'm going to say that about all of these. Okay, so what do I want to talk about next? Let's talk about this one. The next book that I'm hoping to read, you may also have seen in my video recently, my book haul, but it's Against the Loveless World by Susan Abulhawa. I am hoping to read this for the 12 books recommended by 12 friends because I'm so behind on that, so I needed to at least add one of those books in here. I feel like this one is going to be so good, so I'm just really excited to read this one. I think it'll be a favorite. But let me read what the synopsis is for you. So, Nahar shares her life story from an Israeli solitary confinement cell. As a young woman, she dreamed of marriage and modern appliances, but found herself a jilted bride, struggling with displacement, refugeehood, abandonment, and sexual exploitation. A foul-mouthed critic and passionate dancer, Nahir finally returns to Palestine, where she is transformed by the power of her roots, literature, and love. There, she reemerges a radical political thinker who risks everything to reunite her family with their native land. I think I'm just gonna love it so much. So yeah, that's Against the Loveless World, and hopefully I'll be reading it this summer. We'll see. I feel like I still have so many books to talk about. Gotta wait while Jacob pours his tea and sits back down on his chair. You could hear me this whole time?
I wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
I was focused.
All right, and the next book that is on this list is, I feel like, a booktube, a bookstagram, a TikTok favorite. I feel like everyone has probably already read this, or maybe they just have no interest in reading it, but this one I've just been wanting to read for a very long time, and I feel like because it was so hyped up, I stopped kind of wanting to read it. I just kind of was like, I'm gonna wait until the hype kind of dies down a little bit, and I feel like it has. I don't know, maybe it hasn't, but it's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and I feel like most of you probably already know what this is about, but if you don't, I will read the synopsis for you. We're friends here, and I got you covered. On a bitter cold day in the December of his junior year at Harvard, Sam Azor exits a subway car and sees amid the hordes of people waiting on the platform, Sadie Green. He calls her name. For a moment, she pretends she hasn't heard him, but then she turns, and a game begins, a legendary collaboration that will launch them to stardom. These friends, intimates since childhood. That sentence feels so wrong to say, I don't know why. Borrow money, beg favors, and before even graduating, they have created their first blockbuster, Ichigo. Overnight, the world is theirs. Not even 25 years old, Sam and Sadie are brilliant, successful, and rich, but these qualities won't protect them from their own creative ambitions or the betrayals of their hearts. Spanning 30 years from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Venice Beach, California, and lands in between and far beyond, Gabrielle Zevin's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a dazzling and intricately imagined novel that examines the multifarious nature of identity, disability, failure, and the redemptive possibilities in play, and above all, our need to connect, to be loved, and to love. Yes, it is a love story, but it is not one you have read before. All right, we're gonna see, Gabrielle. We're gonna see. I'm trying not to hype it up too much in my brain because I really want to enjoy it, and I think I will. I'm hoping this is gonna be one of those books that I get fully lost in and just escape. Maybe I'll do a little vlog on it. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like I've been putting it off for months now, and yeah, I'm just so excited to give this one a read. All right. We're getting there. We're getting through this pile. The next book is one that's been on my shelves for a while. I don't know. I'm really excited for this one. I haven't seen too much about it. So it's Stay With Me by bámi adébáyọ, and I'm very excited for this. I feel like it's going to be a great summer read, and I'm excited to finally get to it. It's a beautiful cover too. Look at those colors. It's very pretty. The description for this one is, ever since they first met and fell in love at university, Yejide and Akin have agreed polygamy is not for them. But 4 years into their marriage, after consulting fertility doctors and healers, trying strange teas and unlikely cures, Yejide is still not pregnant. She assumes she has time until her in-laws arrive on her doorstep with a young woman they introduce as Akin's second wife. Furious, shocked, and livid with jealousy, Yejide knows the only way to save her marriage is to get pregnant, which finally she does, but at a cost far greater than she could have dared to imagine. The unforgettable story of a marriage as seen through the eyes of both husband and wife. Stay With Me asks how much we can sacrifice for the sake of family. That sounds so good to me. I'm really excited to get started on this one. All right. We have like 5 more to go. So the next one that I'm hoping to read, and I added this one last minute because I had my list compiled and I was looking at my shelves and I was like, I need to add that one. But the next one was also in my haul, and it's Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I don't know why, I just keep wanting to pick this one up. So the synopsis of this one is Alice, a novelist, meets Felix, who works in a warehouse, and asks him if he'd like to travel to Rome with her. In Dublin, her best friend Eileen is getting over a breakup and slips back into flirting with Simon, a man she has known since childhood. Alice, Felix, Eileen, and Simon are still young, but life is catching up with them. They desire each other, they delude each other, they get together, they break apart. They have sex, they worry about their friendships and the world they live in. Are they standing in the last lighted room before the darkness bearing witness to something? Will they find a way to believe in a beautiful world? So yeah, I guess I'll find out what happens. Up next is Little Eyes by Samanta Schweblin. I kind of have just been in the mood to read some more Samanta Schweblin. I feel like the summertime is going to be a perfect time to read more Samanta Schweblin. I read Fever Dream and I loved it. So the synopsis for this one is, they've infiltrated homes in Hong Kong, shops in Vancouver, the streets of Sierra Leone. They're everywhere. But how can a person living in Berlin walk freely through the living room of someone in Sydney? How can someone in Bangkok have breakfast with your children in Buenos Aires without your knowing? The characters in Samanta Schweblin's Little Eyes reveal the beauty of connection between far-flung souls, while exposing the ugly side of our increasingly linked world in this prophecy of a story. Schweblin creates a dark and complex world that's all the more harrowing for being so recognizable and familiar. Yeah, I'm so excited. Oh my god, I'm very excited to get to this one. I think it's gonna be so good, and I feel like I keep saying that, but I feel like all the ones I picked because I think they're gonna be so good, so we'll see. All right, up next is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I've just been wanting to read more Morrison. This is the one that I'm choosing to read this summer. This will be my first Morrison this year. So for the synopsis, Bukola Breedlove, a young black girl, prays every day for beauty. Mocked by other children for the dark skin, curly hair, and brown eyes that set her apart, she yearns for blonde and blue eyes that she believes will allow her to finally fit in. Yet, as her dream grows more fervent, her life slowly starts to disintegrate in the face of adversity and strife. A brilliant examination of our obsession with beauty and conformity. Toni Morrison's virtuistic first novel asks powerful questions about race, class, and gender, with the subtlety and the grace that have always characterized her writing. I feel like I'm saying that word right, and I cannot figure it out. I think it's subtly. I don't know. I think it's subtly, but it feels out of place, so maybe I'm saying it wrong. I didn't realize that this was Toni Morrison's first novel. That makes me even more excited to read this one. Okay, so we're down to the final 2. So up next is Maud Martha by Gwendolyn Brooks. If you've watched my channel, if you follow me on Bookstagram, you know that I absolutely love this book. This is a 5-star read for me. It's a favorite of mine, probably one of my all-time favorite books. I just want to give it a reread. I'm hoping to reread this as part of Kayla's 5 rereads challenge, because as you all know, if you've watched any of my wrap-up videos, I have not made a dent into that, and I'm pretty sure when I read this, it was in the summertime, or maybe it was springtime. I don't actually remember when I read this one. Let me take a look, because now I'm so curious. Okay, so I finished this one last year on April 10th, so it's been over a year, which just means that it's time. I need to dive back into this one. When I first read it, I read a library copy, so I'm excited to read this one and just start annotating it up, because this is my copy. I'm so excited to read this one. I feel like I'm just gonna love it more, and I'm sure this is one that I will be rereading multiple times throughout my life. So excited to dive back in. I forgot, I did not read what Maud Martha is about. Maud Martha Brown is a little girl growing up on the south side of 1940 Chicago. Amidst the crumbling taverns and overgrown yards, she dreams of New York, romance, her future. She admires dandelions, learns to drink coffee, falls in love, decorates her kitchenette, visits the jungly hovel. I think it's hovel. Hears speakers on campus, guts a chicken, buys hats, gives birth. But her lighter-skinned husband has dreams too, of the Foxy Cats Club, other women, war, and the scraps of baffled hate. A certain word from a saleswoman that visits the cinema. The cruelty of a department store Santa Claus are always there. Published in Britain for the first time, Maud Martha, 1953, is the only novel by the Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Gwendolyn Brooks. A radical poetic collage. It is an extraordinary portrait of an ordinary life. One lived with wisdom, humor, protest, rage, dignity, and joy. Reading that synopsis is just getting me so excited to just give this one a reread. I was smiling at some points because I just remembered pieces of this book, and I miss it. I can't wait to read this one again. I love it. So the next and final book, we are almost there, just one more book to go, is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. If you saw my haul, you would have seen this one in there. I'm so excited to finally read Homegoing. I want to be part of the people who have read Homegoing and have loved it. I think I'm gonna love this one. I've only heard great things. It's time. This summer, I want to read Homegoing. So the description for this one is Ghana, 18th century. Two half-sisters are born into different villages, each unaware of the other. One will marry an Englishman and lead a life of comfort in the palatial rooms of the Cape Coast castle. The other will be captured in a raid on her village, imprisoned in the very same castle, and sold into slavery. Homegoing follows the parallel paths of these sisters and their descendants through 8 generations, from the Gold Coast to the plantations of Mississippi, from the American Civil War to jazz-age Harlem. Yaa Gyasi's extraordinary novel illuminates slavery's troubled legacy, both for those who were taken and those who stayed, and shows how the memory of captivity has been inscribed on the soul of our nation. So that's Homegoing. I really want to prioritize this one, and I know I've said that for a few, but this one I feel like is one of the top books I want to make sure I read this summer. I just want to finally have read it, and yeah, I'm so excited to read this one. As I was talking about some of these books, I was thinking there's some books that were popping into my head on would be perfect summer reads, but I totally forgot about them. I would love to start The Neapolitan Quartet by Elena Ferrante. That's also, let's do an honorary read. I think that one would be a perfect summer read. I'm adding that one to my list, even though it's going to make it uneven, potentially, because I don't actually know how many books I have in this pile, but I really want to read that one, at least start that quartet. So yeah, I'm adding that one to my list, and I'm sure that there's going to be other ones that while I'm editing or while I'm looking through my shelves, I'm going to think I wish I would have included it. I'm sure my mood reader self will just pick those books up when I want. We talked about all the books that I'm hoping to read this summer. I think it'll be fun at the end of the summer to see how many of those books I actually ended up reading. But yeah, that's all the books. Thanks so much for being here. I'm glad you clicked on my little video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.